It has always been designed to work for women who do want to work. So if you are sitting here and maybe you sponsored one person and she just decided it wasn't for her, it's okay. It's not necessarily for everyone. And it's okay. You've got to persevere, right? We've got to keep it rolling. Here's another thing. This is for the leaders. Keith and I held OPs where people didn't show up. Can you even believe people would not show up? Do you know what's great about people not showing up to an OP? I usually would have a good dessert. The floor was clean. The bathroom smelled good. It's not really a lose-lose situation. I had a new jeweler orientation one time, and one person came to that new jeweler orientation. This is like my first year in the business out there. But instead of complaining that only one person came and everyone else bailed on me, I took the time to build a vision in that one person, and today she's a 2-diamond designer with 40 people in her downline. You have to persevere. You know, there's setbacks in everything we do in life, aren't there? We talked about this last night at leadership. There are setbacks in everything. If you haven't had a setback in your marriage, you probably haven't been married long enough. If you haven't had a setback with your children, they're not old enough yet. And if you haven't had a setback in this business, you haven't been in long enough. But from this day forward, every setback we have will be what, leaders? A set up to where we are headed. One of the things I remember thinking out there, and I know you're thinking this tonight, is, you know what? I've got to be a doer, not a feeler. Have you ever heard this before? I've got to be a doer, not a feeler. You know, a feeler is someone who only works when she feels like it. And if you sit here tonight and you do the one thing I'm going to ask you to do, and that's determine what you want your business to look like, you got to determine what that looks like to you. That might look like 4 shows a month and 5 new jewelers a year. That might look like 8 shows a month and no new jewelers ever. What I want you to know is what matters is what you want it to look like. But then here's the catch. Your activity level has to be in relationship to what that picture is. Does that make sense? I remember thinking I've got to be a doer. The first thing that came to my mind out there, and there were many setbacks, is I've got to be the person who takes responsibility for my own business. I've got to be a sponge. You know, one of the biggest tips I can give you in this business is be a student of this business. I remember early on when Kathy Allen said to me, she said, do 8 shows a month and sponsor 7 jewelers a year. And if you do that, you'll build a really nice, consistent business. Now, there's companies out there that would tell you you need to do 20 appointments a month and bring in 40 people a year. Well, how in the world? All I'm saying is, 5 to 8 shows a month and 7 to 10 people a year. That you can do that and be a good mom and be a good wife. You can do that. You have to be a doer, not a feeler. If you're tracking this, we're on number 2 now. The first one was I needed bookings. Where did I get them? Now we're going to move to number 2. And this is really important. And this goes along with what is it you want your business to look like. When I moved there, I thought, I'm going to claim my purpose. What is my purpose in this business? And at that point, my purpose was to build the area. And so I just want you to think about this here in Minnesota. Your purpose is to build this area. Yeah, you're going to build it for you. You're going to build it for your family. You're going to build it to meet your needs and your dreams. But we're also building it for the longevity of Joan and Andy Horner. It's not, it's about us, but not really in the long run. Does that make sense? And so I had to claim my purpose. And so when I got there, I thought, I'm just gonna do a little intro at my shows. And this is kind of how it sounded. I'd say, hi, my name is Gayla. And I've been with Premier Designs for a while now. Love this business. I got in when my children were little. And I've stayed because I love the flexibility and the income is amazing. And right now, I'm here to build this area. So I'm looking for ladies who have a need that we can meet through this business. And that might be you. Okay, so, and it sounds a little different every time, but that's the gist of it, right? So I had a gal come up to me at a regional rally, and she says to me, I hear you're here to build the area. I go, yeah. She goes, well, I've lived here longer than you have. We laugh, she and I laugh about this now, so don't think I'm talking about her. But it's kind of funny. Because that's kind of, she goes, well, I've been here 8 years. And I go, yeah, but you're here to build the area, right? Well, I guess I am. I go, well, then you might want to tell people. And I just wonder tonight if you've thought about that. What is your purpose? Do you want to build a team of jewelers that you can influence and change the course of their lives? Because if you do, Luann, you're here to build the area. Maybe you're here tonight and you just want to retail the jewelry. Well, guess what? You're here to build the area through retail. My hairstylist said to me the other day, she goes, it was the weirdest thing. I heard a lady back behind in the little cubby over, she said she was here to build the area. And I go, yeah, I'm trained them all to say that. Are you here to build the area? I'm sorry? Yes! It's okay to say that. I'm looking for ladies to join my team. Okay, so let's say you have a full-time job. Hi, my name is Gayla. I started in this business 2 years ago. I have a full-time job. I work at Allstate during the day, and at night I am building the area. I'm looking for ladies to join my team. Hey, I've been in this business for 2 weeks. Best decision I ever made. I'm working on building this area. Are you getting the gist of it? That will produce enthusiasm. Now, can I tell you something about enthusiasm? Enthusiasm trumps knowledge. I say this all the time. You do not have to know what you're doing. Just be excited about it. If you're new here tonight, and you're going, yeah, lady, well, I haven't even had 10 shows. Well, you know what, lady? It don't matter. If you're excited about what you're doing, and you realize what you have to offer, your enthusiasm is way more important than anything anyone could ever teach you. How do you introduce yourself? So important. Number 3. You have to learn, as you're building this business, to work through life's crises and distractions. And you knew I was going to go there. Let me tell you what happened. Sunny California got pretty dreary about a year in when my husband lost his job. Now, I know some of you in this room tonight know exactly what that looks like. And it is a heartache for our honeys when this happens. Because a lot of a men's identity is tied up in what they do. Nothing wrong with that, okay? And when Keith lost his job, the only job he'd ever lost, it was very upsetting to our entire family. About 3 months after Keith lost his job, my son, how many of you girls have teenagers? Now, you know they're a bunch of liars, right? You know this? Now, I said this to the girls last night, and those who have the cute little kids at home going, no, my baby will never lie. Well, I just pray he doesn't, but the chances are pretty good. So about 3 months after Keith loses his job, my son decides that he's going to partake in some illegal activity. Do I need to spell this out anymore? Do you know what I'm talking about? 6 Shades of Ugly. And I want to tell you something. As a mom, when you find this in your kid's backpack, you want to die. And you want to think to yourself, where did I go wrong? Some of you in this room know what that's like, because you helped me through that. I want to tell you something. It was devastating. About 2 weeks after this, my precious daughter becomes extremely ill. And when I mean extremely ill, I had to pull her out of middle school and have her homeschooled, but not by me, don't worry about it. By a professional for 6 months. She had horrific migraines, hot flashes, and chronic fatigue. We are in and out of every Northern California hospital. We've had every test run, every neurologist, every MRI on every part of her body. And I just want to tell you, that's a lot to stomach in about a 6 to 9 month period. And I want to tell you something. I'm so thankful for the Lord's promises. Because in James 1, verse 12, this is what he said to me. Blessed is the jewelry lady who perseveres under the trials of her teenage children. Because when she has stood the test, she will receive the crown of life that God has promised to those who love Him. Amen. If you do not know the Lord, and you go through these trials and crises in your life, I just want to tell you, I'll sit here all night tonight and talk to you about it. Because that's where you go. Now, I will tell you, after I got in trouble with my son, the first person I called was Sean Clark. Because I knew she'd be there for me, you know. But I want to tell you something. The Lord is the one who kept me going because of this promise. He told me, if you keep going, if you keep doing home shows, mentoring your team and other people, you will persevere. Persevere. There it is again. That is number 3. You have to learn to work through these crises, you guys, because I want to tell you something. You're a breath away from one. I mean, I hate to tell you. And it may not be anything like what I had to deal with. It might just be, you may just get, the bad case of the flu for a few weeks. But, and God forbid, things happen. Our parents get ill. Somebody breaks a bad bone. I mean, all of these things happen that can trip us up. But this is what I always thought to myself, you guys. If this was my full-time job, I could not call my boss and say, my son, blah, 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 so I'm not coming into work today. Right? I wouldn't have been able to do that. I was thankful for Premier that I had the flexibility to take care of the situations I had to, but man, I had to stay the course. I had to revisit the vision. I had to revisit the positive attitude. There was times it wasn't very positive, and I had to revisit the work ethic. And I just want to, I tell you this story tonight to encourage you. To encourage you to know that, whatever it is you're going through here tonight, somebody else has been through it, or maybe the person sitting right next to you. And I just want you to know, you can make it through that. You can stay the course in your business. You might not be able to do 1 million shows a month. You might have to pull back a little bit, but don't quit. Don't bail on your vision is what I don't want you to do. Okay? Don't bail on your vision when distractions and crisis come your way.